Almodovar. I will pass it to Joey for the start.
I'll be talking about the brief history of Spanish cinema. It started with the Restoration period and the Second Spanish Republic, which falls under the era of silent cinema and surrealism and experimentalism. For the Spanish Civil War, the film uses as propaganda tools by Republican and nationalist force. For the faces Spain, comedies and operatic films promoting Spanish culture, and it is the opening of politic rejudge. For the modern Spain, it is the rise of Pedro Almodovar due to the La Modiva movement. La Modiva movement is a countercultural movement during the transition after Francisco Franco's death in 1975. It also represented the resurrection of the economy in Spain and the emergence of a new Spain identity. A new hedonism emerged, include pornography, exploited gays and prostitutes, and recreational drugs, and also youth culture, which it was also the catalyst of the deconstruction. I'll pass it to Brenda.
So I will talk about the rise of Pedro Almodovar, and his first featured film was Happy Lucy Bone and Other Girls on the Heap, which is the film is the film has to explore the complexity of the human relationship, and then of variance of sexuality, and also balancing the fixed categories of gender. And then it also represents the Madrileñan youth society of the early 1980s, and it brings out the Spain culture, which ranges over heterosexuality and homosexuality. And it also includes music in the form of zarzuela, which is a Spanish opera, and it helps the rise of Madrid as the capital city of Spain.
So as you know, this is Pedro Almodovar, and he is a Spain director. He showed a great potential as a writer since a very early age. It could be influenced by his mother, as his mother earned money by helping the neighbors who cannot write or read to write letters. And his films mainly deliver strong feminism, which reflected by his mother, two sisters, and also many women that he came across like growing up in a small, highly religious and sexually repressed village called Manca, Spain. In 1968, he moved to Madrid with family, and having a unique vision of the Spanish life, which also shows why most of his films are filmed in Madrid, the city of Spain. His creations are likely to be like the eternal returns of womanhood and femininity, tolerance and liberty, fiction and reality. He reversed the sex and gender roles, break the prejudice and tradition of social identities in a patriarchal society, which means like the man authority is like over the woman. Therefore, transsexual is not only visible in his work, it is like the motive, means like it's like the main focus. Almodovar's work is a tribute to women who want to become mothers, and also men who want to become women. He refuses to categorize the outrageous characters because he wants the audiences to like view them as how we are. And he also uses costumes and camp aesthetic to magnify the transsexual and woman beauty. I'll show it at the behind. key characteristics of the author of Almodovar, why Almodovar is the author. Okay, so these are the main characteristics. We'll just talk about general, and then we'll focus on the genres such as like feminism, sexuality, and dark. He uses recurring stars such as Carmen Mora, Bandura, Victoria, Avril, Penelope Cruz, and Rosie De Palma. Mostly, he repeats all these actor or actresses across his films, and his storylines often relate to a mother-daughter, mother-son relationship, as it could be reflecting his childhood and also his life as he's closer to his mother. And this also shows the lack of the father love. And he often uses outrageous characters in his films to express the Spain culture, which explained by Joey on the La Movida movement after the Franco died, and then all the pornography transactions started to come up. And as I say, many films set in Madrid because he moved there. And his films are often measuring the changing attitudes to sexuality, relationship between sexes, identity, feminine psychology, and the situation of Spanish women, as well as the masculinity in democracy. Okay, I'll pass it for Brenna to talk about feminism in more detail.
So, the significant genre that we can see across Almodovar's film is feminism, and his life is surrounded by women during his childhood, so he tends to understand womanhood and he wants to emphasize on feminism. The lack of his father's love makes him to realize that woman is very important in the society, and that's why he wants to focus on feminism. And then the movies, so I will be talking about a comparison of All About My Mother and Julieta. So as we can see in the movies All About My Mother and Julieta has a different point of view about feminism. When Manuela, a single mother who raises her son, Esteban, and her son Esteban, who adores his mother and wants to write about his mother, shows how important a woman is, whereas on Julieta is not really a good mother, as she couldn't take good care of her daughter when her husband is dead, and then she also erases her daughter's the memory of her and her daughter because she met her new partner, and then this shows the view of her not doing the responsibility of mother. And then, so rather than superheroes and action stars, characters like Julieta truly are a post-feminist heroines offering an honest depiction of what it means to be a woman today in its multiple forms, as the demands of society clash with the pursuit of one's own happiness and the chips fall wherever they may occur.
And the second most commonly seen in Almodovar film is the sexuality. You can see like transgender, drag queen, and like the different roles as a woman. And as I said earlier, he reversed the sex and gender roles with the prejudice and traditions. And yeah, he magnified the transsexual through the use of costumes and camp aesthetic, not just through the storyline and the actor. As you can see, from the image, in Lola, All About My Mother, he's transgender, and Vera Cruz, The Skin I Live In, is also a transgender, and the Zahara in Bad Education is a drag queen where he dresses up like a woman. And to to show that how much they want to like change his identity. And for Joanna in Hika, it's like Almodovar shows the camp aesthetic where a different dimension of a woman can be beautiful as well. Because he's not like as beautiful as like the Penelope Cruz and all, but she has her own beauty. Yeah. And Almodovar suggests two ideas in his, across his films. First, identity is more than sex, gender, and sexuality. These categories are artificial, mutable, and plural at the same time. The play on the identity with Lola in All About My Mother shows a character who takes pleasure in changing his identity, but in changing his identity doesn't prevent him from being authentic. Since that authenticity is what Almodovar look for across his films. Second, identity is plural, moving, and complex. As we know, individuals do not have a nature, so that authenticity is not the expression of a personal nature, but the expression of our aspirations. Sex is born, but gender is a thought. That's what Lola suggests in her monologue in All About My Mother. She claims that her authenticity lies in her silicon and sentiments. She actually gives like a public speech on how much it costs for the surgery and all. But she is proud like to do all this to change his identity. Next, I'll pass to Joey.
I'll continue with the dark thriller genre. Almodovar also come across some dark genre films where he applies some dark elements in his storyline and also characters. Usually, dark movies refers to the style and color of the film, which is gloomy and dark, but in Almodovar's film, he makes it in another way. For example, in the film Dark Habit, he turns the movie out of comment as the storyline is about nuns are the fans of the nightclub singer, and the nuns are lesbian. This has opposed the perception of the society of nuns, which is innocent and also holy. Besides that, another example from the movie The Skin That I Lived In features a lot of the Almodovar's trademark, which include bizarre punishment and revenge, consideration of the lingering impact of rape, and also the build to a kinetic reunion. Dark elements appears when Roberts thinks that Wilson has raped his daughter, and then he wants revenge, and so he kidnaps Wilson and turns him into a woman. And then for the Almodovar is also fascinated with the idea of captivity in the movie The Skin That I Lived In. The narrative tension of the film springs from this fascination. In this case, a double captivity, a box inside a box, where a man is trapped inside a woman's body, who at the same time is a prisoner in a closed space. Captivity forced Vera to find a new ways of expressing herself and also construct a new sense of self according to the new form of embodiment. For the performance, identity and costume becomes the conflicted in the skin that I live in, with the character frequently embodying the roles of their outer appearance. For example, there was a scene where Zenka is wearing a tiger skin costume, which is show he's aggressive towards his mother, who he ties inside in the kitchen, and also towards Vera. Zenka depraved the treatment of Vera begins by him meeting a TV screen, displaying Vera in her room, and also we then see several cuts about Zenka stalking his prey before raping Vera.
up to another level. As you can see, like among his films, have you all watched like his other films besides All About My Mother? What's the film? Sorry, The Skin I Love It. Yeah, and like most of his film actually like create a lacking of like the male characters. Like even in All About My Mother, he doesn't show the father, but the father actually turned into a transgender, it's a woman, and the son also like passed away after an accident. And like so like do you all agree that Almodovar is actually a successful Spanish author?
Yes.
In what way?
In a way that he shows feminism in most of his movies, and it's a recurring theme in his films.
Thank you. And Joey, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, in Almodovar's movie, he convey a subversive vision of sex, sexuality, and also gender. All of this reveal the instability and weakness of our dominant patriarchal society in the Western culture.
And Brenda?
So, by breaking prejudice and dichotomies, Almodovar deconstruct the idea of masculinity, which has always been linked to power in patriarchal societies. In Spain, individuals are able to choose the gender they want to perform and the sexuality they wish to be and the identity they dream of.
So, like the deconstruction of the patriarchal society through his staging of transsexuality leads us to question the legitimacy of the old system which centered masculinity, and it also allows us to have a new look on differences and reconsider our social values in a more humanist way. Yeah, that's all from us.